I bet you this is going to be another one of those Nutnfancy knife reviews that generates controversy. Oh no. That's because I'm going to kind of reverse course on my opinion about the Benchmade 300 flipper model number 300SN. It is a Butch ball design, and no, I don't know Butch. Not yet, maybe one day. And the knife is new in the Benchmade lineup for 2013. Now I say reverse course because during our booth review with the good folks at Benchmade at SHOT Show this year, I was pretty stoked about it. And I said as much, thinking it might be one of the best new Benchmade designs for this year. But after having it for a couple of weeks, studying the blade, you guessed it, I am no longer super stoked. Now remember, in that video, I'm talking the Benchmade booth review at SHOT Show, I said that all the opinions are what? Subject to change. Those were initial impressions. Oftentimes I have to get a knife, carry it, use it, study it for a matter of weeks, months, heck, here in TMP, maybe even years, before I will issue an opinion on it. For whatever it's worth, not much. So, if you're one of the TMPers, and I know you guys are out there because I've talked to you both online and in person, that went out off that booth review and bought a Benchmade 300, I am so sorry. Because I am not going to validate your purchase with this tabletop review. I just can't. Now relax. I have a lot of great things to say about the 300. It's just for me and how I would apply the knife that I lose my enthusiasm. And you guessed it, that takes us to philosophy of use. First and foremost, an EDC blade. There you go. And it's just too damn thick. It's just too damn heavy for me. You know, I could end the review right there, dudes. That's the long and short of it. I don't carry around EDC blades with this mass. 5 ounces, 0.6 inches thick as an EDC blade. Now, you guys watching the TMP Knife Show for 5 years now, you know how I roll. I will rock a very small, lightweight, thin utility knife, much like this Spyderco Dragonfly. Which, by the way, I totally nuked the tip on with some flame cutting I did. Retempered that tip. No worries, it'll still be good. This is a great EDC blade for me. A utility knife that I use all the time, and it's paired with a tactical blade. Most days. To me, this is an EDC blade. A using EDC blade. Not that. Too big. Some guys will HEC the 300, and they will love it. You know, who defines HEC? You do. You know, how much is too expensive to carry and use hard every day? If you want a hard use everyday carry blade, I think the 300 will please you. If again, you can put up with the thickness and the weight. Most guys don't care. I realize that. I get it. Trust me, after doing this gig for a long time, I get it. But not me. EDC, forget it. I will never EDC a 300, nor would I buy it for that. How about collectible? I would say absolutely. This is a cool looking blade. And much of my initial enthusiasm was centered on that. Second kind of cool collectability, and I will stick with that. If that's why you're buying a 300 flipper, I say rock on, you will be very pleased. You know what I think the barometer is about the coolness of a blade? Per individual, is if you check in with that dude a couple years after he bought the knife and he still has it. That's right. If you still have the knife after many years, you know that you truly love that blade. However, if you flip it, no pun intended, you didn't really dig it. In my opinion, you wouldn't have ever let it go. Now granted, as knife collectors, we do stupid things. We have a blade and we're like, I really want money for this, and we'll turn a blade. We'll turn it over, and then we regret it. Been there, done it myself. I go, oh, I shouldn't have let that blade go. But I'm talking generally speaking, the blades we really love, we really have passion for, we never let those go. We just don't. So as a collectible, I say thumbs up for the Benchmade 300, absolutely, and I will totally sign off on that. I will not sign off, however, for tactical use. It's just too small for me. 3.05 inches in length is the blade on the Benchmade 300 flipper. Too small, forget tactical. There you go. That's philosophy of use as I see it. It's just heavy, guys. 5 ounces. Again, what's this Dragonfly? 1.2 ounces? Holy cow. I'll show you a couple of other competitive options for the video ends. Just kind of off the cuff stuff like I always do. And we'll just leave it at that. The size is actually, again, chunky in hand, but for some dudes, they love that. Now, if I am going to criticize the Kershaw Turbulence for its handle design, how short it was, stubby it was, I got to be kind of consistent and do it with the 300, because as you can see, it is a very short handle. I have large size hands. I feel, I don't know, cramped with the 300. We'll talk a little bit more about ergos here in a second. Blade steel, 154 cm, and as Benchmade puts it together, it is outstanding. Love it. Good rust resistance, fine edge capabilities, easy enough to resharpen. This is stonewashed, I believe, kind of. And it's not full flat ground, at least not totally. About from this portion on down. You can see the logos on there. There's Butch's logo right there. Good belly on it, strong tip, and it actually has usable gimping. Told you I'd say some good stuff about this knife. It's actually pretty good. Even though it's a short run, it's excellent. How's that speed? Well, we just don't see many speed problems with Benchmades, do we? I don't. They're wicked fast. Great thumb studs that we've seen on all types of Benchmades. It's an axis design. 2 ways to deploy it. Well, actually more than that. That sucked as a deployment. The best way, I think, is flipper. You can easily shake it out of the handle because, honestly, the blade retention with the axis lock is not super awesome. It's okay. It's adequate. I'm not really worried about cutting myself with it. There you go. You can use the thumb studs. There is some occlusion there. Fully ambidextrous if you're a lefty. That's a good thing. And man, do I love that axis lock still. Now, there's a video out there with Peter and Tracy from Benchmade abuse testing the 300. I think it failed in the extended position at 650, I think they say inch-pounds of torque. Actually, the blade failed, not the axis lock. The axis lock rocked, but the blade broke, I think around 615. That's about all you need to know about durability and strength. The axis lock is amazing. Ambidextrous, smooth, and fast in hand. There's your stop pin on the 300. Big ol' stop pin. Lockup, as you can guess, is vault-like. No movement whatsoever. Again, if you want a really strong everyday carry knife, this is a great option. Collectible, great option. I do love the handle as far as the looks go. You guessed it. It's desert sand coloration. It's just so cool. High traction, I will say. G10, it's milled, it's layered, rounded on the edges. There's no sharp edges. Pillar construction handle, and they did mill out the liners. As you can see there. Excellent job, Benchmade. Blade centering, perfection. Just perfection. Love the handle, albeit still I want to say it's too short for me. In reverse, it looks about like that. Kind of a tiny knife to do that. So ergonomics for me, a little bit cramped. I love the jimping, love the ambi axis lock. All that's to the good. As is the clip. It is polished. I usually like blackened clips these days, but it matches the blade well. You can take those handle scales off if you need. See the pillars right there. Full serviceability on this knife if you need that. Great clip though. Look at that. Loop over, carries deep, big enough to accommodate your tactical pants. That brings us to options. Which knife first? Well, let's go with an off-the-wall B EL06 Chinese produced Sebenza-like knife. Great blade. 4.6 ounces. It's 9 CR, 18 MOV. Stonewashed blade. And I've reviewed a lot of blades that copy that Sebenza profile. It's all over the place. Great profile. Great knife, actually. Usable jimping, G10 handles. It's a liner lock. 20 bucks. 20 bucks. How's that for a competitive option? Told you I'm going to do some off-the-wall stuff. It's got kind of an unusual pivot adjustment. Good luck doing that. That's a Chinese BEL-06, I think. There we go. And how about this one? You've seen it lots, but we're kind of talking about, I guess, strong EDC knives. The Cold Steel Voyager Medium, 3.2 ounces, AUS 8A steel. I like the 154 CM in this better, to be honest. About $40 though. Flat ground, takes a wicked edge. Great knife. Is it as cool as this knife? Absolutely not. No way. Doesn't have second kind of cool. It's a utility blade. How about the Hogue EX01 at 4.3 ounces? Notice, by the way, that all of these knives are thinner and lighter than the 300. 154 CM steel. This one's more expensive, $165. By the way, look in the upper right. If you want a Benchmade 300 flipper, that's where I recommend to go. You're looking at about, I don't know, 120 to maybe 115 if you're super lucky. That's a great deal if you can find a 300 for that. This is a great knife too. Love it. Kind of a, I don't know, tougher EDC knife. Maybe tactical. Hogue EX01. And just because this is bracketed with some other knife reviews I'm hoping to get done soon, the Spyderco Endura G10. Love this blade. 4.4 ounces, so it's lighter. And look at the thinness, comparatively speaking. Hey, is it always about thinness with you, Nutnfancy? Knife-wise? No, it's not. It just depends on what you want. A lot of people like the hand-filling profile of this type of knife, the 300. I do too. I'm talking the thickness, not the short length, in hand, but I don't like carrying it because this isn't a tactical blade for me, so it's an EDC blade. So now I've got a big old knife I'm using as a tactical blade and this as an EDC blade, and I'm banging into stuff with it. Not my system, sorry. Spyderco Endura G10, VG10 steel, about $86 at the time. What a great blade. Flat ground, great jimping. And then last but not least, since I mentioned HEC, that is high-end carry, how about this one? That was another controversial video that I didn't dig the Spyderco Southard C156 GPBN at $250. You dang right I didn't dig it. Too much. 4.2 ounces though, and it's still a very cool knife. I just wished it was $125. I would much rather carry this knife over the 300. Just saying. There you go. That's my review on the Benchmade 300. I'm sorry if I threw you for a loop. Wait for the tabletop. There's a little piece of advice. Because I got to get the knife, check it out before I issue, for whatever it's worth, not much, a final opinion. It is a great looking blade. It's strong, extremely strong, durable, all kinds of second kind of cool. Just for me, not a great EDC option. See ya.